here is the Writer's Almanac for Thursday. It's the 26th of May, 2022. It was on this date in 1521 that Martin Luther was declared an outlaw. His writings were banned by the Edict of Worms, which made Luther more of a hero than he already was, and a big reason that Protestantism caught on so quickly. It was on the eve of All Saints' Day 4 years before that he nailed to the door of the Wittenberg Church 95 theses attacking the sale of indulgences and other excesses of the Catholic Church. On his trip to Worms for the assembly, Luther was celebrated as a hero in most of the towns he passed, and after the edict was handed down, he refused to recant, and he went back to Wittenberg to start the Reformation. It's the birthday of the jazz trumpeter Miles Davis, 1926, Alton, Illinois, grew up in East St. Louis. His family was fairly well off. His father was a dental surgeon. The family had a ranch in Arkansas. Miles Davis moved to New York, 1944, studied at Juilliard, did jam sessions with Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie. He formed a 9-piece ensemble of the late 1940s, which recorded the music that went into the album Birth of the Cool, 1957, which heralded the beginning of the cool jazz movement. And it's the birthday of the photographer Dorothea Lange, born in Hoboken, New Jersey, 1895, traveled the country taking pictures at the beginning of the Great Depression. Most famous photograph, Migrant Mother, Napomo, California, 1936. Dorothea Lange, who said, "So often photography is just sticking around and being there." It's the birthday of the composer William Balcom, Seattle, 1938, composer of operas, McTeague, based on the novel by Frank Norris, A View from the Bridge, from the play by Arthur Miller. And it's the birthday of the avant-garde musician Moondog, born 1916 in Marysville, Kansas. His name was Louis Thomas Harden. He used to play his music on 6th Avenue in New York between 52nd and 55th Streets, wearing a Viking helmet, a cape, wielding a sword. He was blinded at the age of 16 in a farming accident, sent to a school for the blind where he learned to read music by Braille. His music was a mix of native percussion and jazz on the flute, and classical and ambient sounds like babies crying and ocean waves. People thought he was homeless, but he was not. He recorded for Epic, moved to Germany, was a guest conductor for orchestras. Philip Glass brought him back to New York to conduct at a new music festival in 1989, and he died 10 years later. He was asked what inspired his music. He said, silence. Here's a poem for today by Margaret S. Mullins, Lonely Harvest. As a child, my father helped me dig a square of dense red clay, mark off rows where zinnias would grow and radishes and tender spinach leaves. He'd stand with me each night as daylight drained away to talk about our crops, leaning on his hoe, as I would practice, leaning so on mine. Years later, now, in my big garden plot, the soggy remnant stems of plants flopped over several months ago. The ground is cold, the berries gone, the stakes, like hungry sentries, stand guarding empty graves. And still, I hear his voice asking what I think would best be planted once the weather warms. A poem by Margaret S. Mullins, Lonely Harvest, from her collection Family Constellation, published by Finishing Line Press and used by permission here on the Writer's Almanac. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.